line to manage it.
It's 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting in order. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk call a roll, please?
Evans.
Here.
Moody. Here. Groton.
Here.
Burrows. Here. Mishka. Here. Schuster.
Here. First item of business is agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Motion by Foodie, second by Schuster. Any further discussion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved minutes of previous meetings?
So moved.
Motion by Grattan,
Second.
second by Morose. Any questions, comments on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved minutes of intervening meetings. Motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Foodie, second by Schuster. Any further discussion on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public appearances, let the record show there are none. Communications, none, unless the clerk has some. Okay. Next, we have approved payment of bills, checks for $868,000, 201.40. No vouchers, electronic transfers, $199,686.81. Is there a motion to approve the payment of the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Schuster, second by Morose. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Schuster.
Aye.
Burrows. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Moody. Aye. Groton.
Aye.
Mishka. Aye.
Payments of bills have been approved. Reports of officials, mayor. I just had gotten the bad news from our clerk. Her little 2-year-old girl is going in for some surgery this next month. And a lot of unknowns attached to that, so I'd like you all to keep little Lucy in your prayers. Kind of be patient with Megan right now in the next month and a half before the surgery, because I'm sure she's going to have a lot on her mind. So I only wish the family the best on that. Well, that's all I have. Clerk Treasurer, do you have a report tonight?
Nope, I do not.
Moving on, building permit report,
I'm not sure I understand.
police department report, Juneau Fire and Rescue report, or the Juneau EMS report. Any questions on any of those?
It's currently cloudy and 63 degrees here at
Where
Juneau
did that
Fire
come from?
Department.
She just had these work done today, she said.
Huh. I don't need to know. Kind of had an idea it was in the low 60s.
Just get rid of it?
They'll just go away probably. So. You're saying when curious, it's cloudy and 63 degrees right now.
Feeling good about that. Reports, committees, commissions, and boards, library report. We do not have Jeanette.
She's crossing the street right now, I think.
We can maybe come back to her.
Sure. Plan commission.
We did meet. We had a public hearing. So we opened the public hearing and discussed and closed it, and we rezoned a parcel of land, a flag lot on Fairfield Street from PUD to R2, which is the surrounding lots that are like it. So we had one lady that was there, and she was for it. Tricia Peterson was there, and she spoke in favor of it. We also discussed the future All-Stars have sites for building a garage that they would use with the kids when it's raining and stuff inside. If they all open, would have a bathroom in it. We said that we would allow the construction of it there was no state-approved plans that she brought in. So they're going to work with her engineer to draw up the state-approved plans and then bring them back to us. We also discussed the 316 feet south of the city on Highway W, that the county says we own this beyond the city limits, this 316 feet. And we can't find it on any map, but the county says it's on this map, and so we're getting further clarification on that. How come it doesn't show on our map if we own it? So, and that was our meeting.
Just clarification on that, I got a letter from Brian Fields inquiring about this. Well, we either have the choice of maintaining and owning the property and paying them $4,000 some odd dollars for the recent seal coating or repaving of that chunk of land. But again, as Dave says, it's stubbed into the town of Oak Grove, so we essentially have no benefit of doing anything with that property. But we still can't seem to find it on our maps that we ever did own it, so we're kind of taking their word for it, so we're doing a little more research on it.
Mm-hmm. Could deed it back to them then.
Yeah, that's what.
Eventually, if you do own it.
That's what they said. The only thing that would affect is maybe some of the funding we get for road assistance and stuff from the state.
Right, but that would be less than the $4,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I guess we'll look into it a little further and get some more clarification on that. So. Any other questions for Dave?
Well, I have a resolution to read here. Resolution 34-2023, approve rezoning, planned unit development to R2 residential. Whereas the Plan Commission held a public hearing on Monday, August 28, 2023, to hear public comment regarding the proposed change in zoning for the following parcel from planned unit development to R2 residential and 241-1115-2143-039, 360 South Fairfield Avenue. Whereas the Plan Commission recommends to approve the zoning change from planned unit development to R2 residential. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I move for approval of Resolution 34-2023.
Second.
Motion by Grattan, second by Schuster. Any further discussion?
Just for your clarification, there were two flag lots back to back, so the post came up the middle and the flag went out around, and the north lot was put in for elderly housing, and they were planning on doing it on the other flag lot, and they had trouble with the first one, so they never built the second one. So, that's why we redid that other flag lot. That's why it went from R2 to PUD, because that was a planned unit development. So that's how it got in the middle of where it was.
For those of you who don't know where it is, it's down on Fairfield Avenue. There's a house, what he called an elderly housing. It's actually an assisted living, set up like a duplex, set behind the duplex out in front. Now this is going to clone it. It's going to run parallel to that. They're just utilizing the depth of the lot behind the other ones. Got what, about 100 feet of frontage to get to the back, or is it less than that? I don't even know. It's enough for a good-sized driveway plus, you know, to get to the back. So a gentleman was in here pleading his case, and we saw it made no sense. Get another taxable property on the unused land. So he owns the property in front. I don't know if he actually lives in there or not.
Lives on the south side.
Okay. So it'll be either a single family or a duplex behind the existing duplex is really the long and short of it. So, any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Bratton?
Aye.
Schuster?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Foodie? Aye. Morose?
Aye.
Fletchko? Aye.
Resolution 34-2023 is passed. Anything else to report, Dave?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Finance.
Did you want to
Library.
a library?
Oh,
I'm
she was
sorry.
late. We're
Yeah,
gonna make her
I
wait.
know. No, I
jump on up here, and Jeanette,
Okay.
I didn't.
I was
see
like, man, you guys rock and roll. Yeah.
So you come and we say we're in,
Well, you know, I came with a bag of tricks literally today. So I have a couple fun things that we're doing in September. And we've had on our outdoor sign
He's
and
trained,
inside
isn't he?
our library, he's trained,
Okay.
that something's hatching at the library on September 18th. And this is all we've had out. And a lot of kids have gone, what's with the dragons? And that's exactly what we wanted, because we are trying to draw elementary age kids into the library during the school year. We do see them in the summer reading's effective, but life is busy. So there has been a library since 2018 in Ohio that has done a Reading Dragons program. Similar, you know, maybe your kids did Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon cards, and it's a card collection thing, but you only get your cards if you read. And so on Monday, we will be issuing these little trackers, and every time a child or adults, I guess sometimes like to do this too, once you read 4 30-minute segments, that's 2 hours, then you earn your set of cards. I know, you were doing that math. I just helped you with that. So kids are going to get a starter pack. This is what they'll get when they initially sign up, and then how they play with these cards is like rock, paper, scissors. The red card, if you and I had a deck of cards each, the red card beats the green card beats the blue card, and the blue card beats the red card. It's just something fun and something they've earned, and something that we have heard from libraries in the Monarch system that have done this. Kids like to play it in study hall or even at recess, and then that draws other friends to say, what are you doing? Oh, well, I get this at the library. So we're launching that on Monday, and it's called Reading Dragons. So that's that. Also, September is library card sign-up month. And many of the Juneau Public Library or community are already library card users. So we wanted to just kind of reward those people that already have their library cards. So we have some vinyl stickers that we're giving away. They've spilled in here, but there's lots of different styles if you want to grab a vinyl sticker. Then you can put that on your water bottle or laptop or iPad, and they all say, I love my library, or I have a library card, or something like that. So one last thing to promote new library card holders is that incentive. And then for our existing patrons, we're doing a checkout challenge. Once kids go back to school, actually our circulation drops. So we're trying to encourage people to at least visit the library 4 times this month. If you come into the library, you get a mini version of this card. And each time you check out, it's not how much you check out, just when you check out, you get to cover these stickers. And if you come in 4 times, then we have a gift basket that we're giving away. There'll be one lucky winner that wins a gift card to the movie theater in Beaver Dam, plus some movie theater candy. These are our spokespeople for National Library Card Sign-Up Month. It's the characters from the new Disney movie Elemental. So our tagline for the entire United States is, a library card is elemental. And I agree with that. It is something that is basic and necessary. So, something's hatching. Any questions about the dragons? You can also see, I don't know if I passed the cards around, that the cards are also dragons and unicorns and phoenixes and all these mythical characters. And guess what? I didn't have to design a single thing. The library that designed this 5 years ago is sharing it all. So that's what librarians do. We do, we share. Thank you again for.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeanette?
Yeah. All right, on to your meeting.
Thank you. Finance, Richard.
Okay, we had a meeting last Tuesday, and I got some notes here, and then I got a bunch of resolutions. Stephanie Justman from Dodge County came to discuss the best practices for the use of the ARPA funds we have. ARPA is a special revenue fund that has to be obligated for some project by the end of 2024 and spent by the end of 2026. And of course, with any federal money, there are certain rules that have to be followed, and it can't be used for typical expenses. We have $279,000 available, and Megan will be working with Stephanie and the auditor from Baker Tilly to determine how best to use this money. So more to come on that. Megan also reviewed the status of the budget process with the committee. The departments have all submitted their preliminary requests. Insurance rates and wages have yet to be determined. So that's all I know about the budget process so far. Now I'm going to go through the resolutions one at a time, I think. First of all, we received 2 proposals for city assessor duties. This is a 3-year contract. Accurate Appraisal had a bid for $36,000, and Bomar Appraisal had a bid for $21,600, and Bomar is our current appraiser, and we approved retaining them. So I'll go to that resolution now. Resolution 35-2023, approved 3-year contract with Bomar Appraisal, Inc. Whereas the Finance Committee has reviewed the attached contract for 3 years with Bomar Appraisal, Inc., as shown in Exhibit A, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends approving the contract in the amounts as shown below, $6,900 for 2024 assessment year, $7,200 for 2025 assessment year, $7,500 for 2026 assessment year. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau on this 12th day of September 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 35-2023.
Second.
Motion by Seth, motion by Evans, second by Buchka. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Muchka. Aye. Booty.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Schuster.
Aye.
Resolution 35-2023 is passed.
Okay, the next one is a resolution that will actually revise Resolution 82-2019 concerning money budgeted for cable TV.
And I'd like to interrupt and say that I'd like to table this after our discussion last night.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, we had some questions that I think the cable TV, we just needed some more information. So we're wondering if we could just move that on to next month.
It's less reading I have to do.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, so then we're on to the next resolution, and that would be 37. Okay, based on the latest assessment of the property that the Dodge County Housing Authority owns at 491 East Center Street, that's just down from the Dollar General, that apartment building there. We approved increasing the pilot payment to $4,692. The The payment has not increased from $3,625 since 2005, when I believe was the last assessment. So, Resolution 37-2023, approve pilot proposal with Dodge County Housing Authority. Whereas the Finance Committee has proposed an agreement with Dodge County Housing Authority as shown in Exhibit A regarding payment in lieu of taxes, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends to the Common Council to accept the attached 3-year agreement with the Dodge County Housing Authority, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of December 2023. I move for passage of Resolution 37, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Grattan. Further discussion? Just so you're all aware, this entity does not have to pay taxes. It is strictly the gratis of their committee that they do, understanding that they receive all the city services every other business and homeowner does. This dollar amount is not shared with any other taxing entities. That is strictly Juneau's portion. So they're not quite up to market, but better than $1,000 less for the last 15, 18 years or whatever it was. So I guess I would recommend this does get passed favorably. So. Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Grattan.
Aye.
Foodie.
Aye.
Moroz.
Aye.
Muchka.
Aye.
Schuster.
Aye.
Resolution 37, 2023 is passed.
Okay, the next one is about security cameras at the community center and city park. We reviewed a bid from Javis Industries to install cameras at various locations at the community center and at the city park. The recreation department still has $11,000 available to spend from a grant that was originally earmarked for a splash pool. And the bid from Javis was $10,000, $758, but that didn't include wire installation. So we weren't sure how much the wire installation would be, and if the 11,000, we were pretty sure the 11,000 wouldn't cover the whole installation. So the committee agreed to designate the money for the park cameras only at this time, and Resolution 38, 2023 is about that. So I'll read it. Resolution 38-2023, approved purchase of security cameras for the parks. Whereas the Finance Committee has reviewed a request for the purchase of security cameras for the Juneau City parks, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends to approve using the remainder of the allocated 2021 borrowed funds to the Recreation Department to pay for the cameras, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends to approve the purchase of 3 cameras at a cost not to exceed the remainder of the funds, $11,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 38-2023.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. Further discussion?
I just want to, and not that I want to defeat this, I think that we need cameras in the parks, but the rec also wanted cameras on the community center. So, it's kind of a hard pill to say you have this $11,000 for the rec, but we're only going to get part of what we thought was important. And so I hope in the future that at some point we can get cameras, at least on the entry of the community center. But I see this resolution is very specific to the park, so I'm going to guess that whatever comes out of this, there cannot be a camera that even from the outside aims at the community center.
I wouldn't negate that.
So that's a possibility,
Yep.
even, so just for a clarification, it just says security cameras for the Juneau City Park. but one of them from the outside might be able to at least show us who's going into the building.
Yeah, the original bid that we saw from Javis had them pointed away from the building, but we didn't make any recommendation. I mean, we just approved the money.
Right, so that's why, I support the money being used for this. I just want that point to be out there that part of the concern of the rec committee and the rec department is that, we have that key code out there, our unauthorized people going in, who's going in, that entry. And security cameras would help us make sure that the authorized people who are supposed to go in the community center are going into the community center. So I would like for us as a council to keep that in mind, and I'll probably talk about this a little more in our rec committee. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, and Javis is coming up with a new bid, and I also asked Jacob to come up with, or ask for a couple more bids.
Okay.
So there'll be a little bit more competition on the bidding side, I hope.
Okay.
We've only seen one bid. And we're only doing part of the job that was originally bid, so I'm assuming it'll be a lot less. So there will be extra funds.
Yeah, and I will say that I did talk to Paul from Javis, and some of this system will be, once it's set, you can more easily add cameras. I mean, the biggest cost will probably be in this 11,000 to set up the big system, and then other cameras could be added in the future. That wouldn't be of probably such a significant cost, right? Because there has to be all this underground wiring or something,
And we're kind of,
DPW has to do.
we're kind of going in the dark on that right now because Javis does not do the wiring, so that wasn't part of their bid. So we don't exactly know what that cost will be.
Yeah, okay.
And along with what you said, Dick, I think there's other bids, even the same system that the library uses, that it might make more sense seeing what that bid comes in, as long as you have a security system ready working in Juneau. It's just another option.
Yeah.
And
But
you
this
said
is
it'd be
the
a good
money.
idea to get.
This is the money
we're
that we're
authorizing the
authorizing for
money.
security cameras, and I'm all for that.
Yes.
I would like this amended to read 3 cameras and all installation not to exceed $11,000. If you'd like to amend that motion, I'd...
Sure. Do you want me to read it again?
Sure.
All right. Resolution 38-2023, approved purchase of security cameras for the parks. Whereas the Finance Committee has reviewed a request for the purchase of security cameras for the Juneau City Parks, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends to approve using the remainder of the allocated 2021 borrowed funds to the Recreation Department to pay for the cameras, and whereas the Finance Committee recommends to approve the purchase of 3 cameras and all associated wirings at a cost not to exceed the remainder of the funds, $11,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I offer that as an amended motion.
Is there a second to that effect?
Second that.
Second by Foodie. Any further discussion? Yeah, well, this was kind of open-ended when they came in here with a quote for just under $11,000, and I know how much work's going to be involved to get this underground cabling from A to B to C to D. I didn't want to be waltzing in here buying cameras and not have monies to install them. So I'm confident by cutting out the cameras at the community center. And I think the big correlation with Javis was the security factor, that he does our work here as far as the IT work and whatever, and the key fobs and stuff would all, intermixed with his equipment. But I agree with you, if this system can be expanded to include those extra cameras at a later date, I'm thinking the rec committee, if there's extra dollars, they're still gonna pursue that key fob thing.
Yeah, I think so, but, well, I can say here, at the rec committee, right, they are very concerned about the security cameras. They would like security cameras in the lobby and in the gym, because I just think it'd be prudent, right? We conduct children's programs in a public building. I understand there was all kinds of discussion about our tenant that believe that it's an invasion of privacy, or I wasn't here for the discussion. So it would seem that we have, divergent interests in this one building. A rec department, it does have some responsibility to be very prudent about the safety of the children that are programmed for activities in this building. And we have a tenant that has a whole different set of concerns. And so at the rec committee, they voted to get some temporary cameras for the lobby and the gym, and that was before we knew there was still $11,000. So now I'm not exactly sure what to say to the rec committee, because this was separate from this $11,000. They wanted security cameras particularly for the children's programs, right? So I have to respond to the rec committee, and if anybody wants to give me some guidance on where to go with this, because we have these two different concerns in the same space. I had been thinking about that, and I'm wondering if we could set some policy about security cameras. We can turn them off during events. I know election wasn't on it, we can turn them off during when we conduct elections. And I don't know if our city attorney wants to weigh on this, but I just think it's prudent for us in a public building to make sure, in our lobby, we have a door to the women's, a door to the men's, a door to a cloakroom, and an entryway. And maybe nothing has ever happened in a while. I worked in child protective services for so long, I have to believe you always want to know who is going into those rooms, and if any child is being coerced into a room. So I would think that it would be prudent to have those security cameras in the lobby. I would think it's prudent to have them in the gym in case some child gets injured. What really did happen? And that is where the rec committee is at. And I understand that the tenant is in a different place. So I don't know how to resolve this. I was thinking about, can we develop a policy about when they go on, when they go off? Would that be satisfactory?
Well, the finance committee does know that I forward the rec committee's concern about accountability. And that
Okay.
was the true concern. I don't think the tenant had a problem about the outside entry door. And I really don't think he's got a problem about that lobby. I think his big concern is in the gym, I think, more so than anything. But
I mean, I got a different sense. He specifically does not want any cameras that videotape anything that would be inside of that building. I think he has a strong problem with the lobby camera as well. But he didn't specifically say that.
I don't think we talked about the lobby, did we really?
I don't think he cares about the lobby. I think he is against the gym, and I do want to weigh in on it. I called Karen Gibson and asked about cameras in a election room. She does not think it's a very good idea to install them this year with the giant presidential election coming up. She thinks that it could be a warning. And you say we can make a policy to turn them off, but who's to say what if they forget to turn them off?
Yeah.
And who has, I mean.
Well, I as a chief election inspector,
You will.
I would make sure they're turned off.
So-
Okay, I would be willing to put that in a policy, that the chief election inspector
You
make
bring
sure
your
they're turned
step
off.
ladder and put bags over them all.
That's right. I'm because the elections are so random, children are in the gym so often, right? You weigh those things out.
Yeah.
you have an obligation to keep it as reasonably safe as you can. One way to accomplish that is by having the cameras. If you don't have the cameras, you're probably not making it as safe as you could.
Yeah, I think that's where
And that's the issue.
right, that's where the recreation program is at.
Mhm.
But you understand these two positions.
Well, he wants more privacy, but you have a dual-use building. And so
Right.
you have to take that into consideration. And one of those uses is when there's recreation department activities. Now, I suppose what he could do is he could turn off the cameras if there's no recreation department activity going on there. But I would think in some ways he wants the cameras, because the cameras are good if there's an incident or if somebody tries to steal from him or somebody,
I brought that up.
Yeah,
you know,
He doesn't agree.
they can have some positives. Well, the downside is that it's an invasion of privacy. The benefit is that if there are incidents that happen there, you've got the camera. For instance, over the years, you know, I've had cases where people have an accident, for instance, at Quick Trip. Quick Trip has cameras all over, and so when somebody lies and says, no, I didn't hit that person's car, we get the security camera footage, and you can find out if they're telling the truth or not telling the truth, because, you know, in this particular case, we see the car run right into the other car and then take off. So, you know, they have cameras all over the outside. And they have, of course, they have it for people stealing gas and all kinds of other things. But my opinion would be that I think it's a good idea from the perspective of the rec department. I do understand arguments both ways as to a private business. I can see perhaps in some ways there's more benefit to the cameras, but I understand that he may not want those. I suppose some people are offended by cameras. I don't know.
I think his concern is that the cameras are going to be linked where they can be watched 24/7.
I wonder if there's such thing as a removable camera. It's hanging on the wall, you remove it.
I mean, it's one thing to go to a server and you watch it off the server. It's another thing to be linked to somebody's phone.
Who's gonna watch it 24/7?
Well, I didn't know. I
don't remember that.
wanted- He had said at one point that Javis had mentioned that he could get cameras that you could watch like on a cell phone.
So that it's
Yeah.
possible, but like,
Yeah.
I don't remember at any point in that meeting saying that that was something that we would ever potentially do though. Like, I think that that's
The only way
concern
you
that
would
we
is
could just not do.
If you
the
found
kind
out
where
there
you
was
have
a fight
it on
there
your
at
phone.
9 o'clock at night, and you knew it was being recorded the whole time, you'd say, well, let's take a look at the footage from 8:45 to 9:30, and probably pick up the fight that happened there, whatever it might be. Just like, you know, the Quick Trip, you say, oh, there was a car accident that happened around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd like to see your footage from 1:30 to 2:30, and it's probably in there.
Well, we'll have to address it. Like, I think the big concern was the vandalism that we've had in the park is something that we've had a history of, that we want to correct that situation. So this should do that. And from my understanding, there's nothing that says that a camera can't be aimed across the street, because the network system is going to be set up in the bathroom across the street from the community center. So I don't think there's anything. He was adamantly opposed to having cameras on the building or inside the building, but nothing says that we can't do a shot from across the street to record anybody coming in and out the front door. That doesn't alleviate entry from the other doors on the building, but at least it's a start if you're really that concerned.
I don't know that he had objections to it, to them being on the outside of the building.
I didn't think so neither, but
No, as long as they weren't inside.
As a matter of fact, to relieve one of Jacob's concerns was to put cameras to make sure that you know who's coming in and out. Those
Right.
fobs would take care of that too.
right.
Yes.
So I think Jacob, I felt was, you know, his concerns were covered with the ideas that were discussed.
Well, he was clearly disappointed in the email that he had sent to his rec committee members. So.
Yeah, and the rec committee was unanimous that they wanted cameras in the lobby and the gym. I mean, this is not just Jacob. This is, the whole committee has those concerns, and so I guess we'll bring it back to the rec committee, and maybe we will present some kind of policy that might have some kind of compromises in it, and that, you know, we as a council could support.
And part of the policy should maybe cover that it's not being that you're not watching it 24/7 off of an app on your phone or something like that. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's out there, it's a possibility, so
we already have one as
if
well.
if you're making a policy, maybe just to cover that it's off of a server on.
I just think that the paramount of everything is, it's a public building, that we have some obligation to keep children safe. To me, that is the most important thing that is here. I know that we have a private business, but there, you know, when you are a tenant in a public building, do you have an expectation of privacy? I don't know, but you're a tenant in a publicly owned building. So, but, you know, if there is some kind of compromise where we put them off during his scheduled events, we put them off during the election, we assure that they're off, there's got to be some way that we can compromise on this issue. That's, you know, both parties feel very strongly about. I'm hoping.
Very good. Any other discussion? Good discussion. Nothing further, I'll take a roll call vote.
Evans?
Aye.
Foodie?
Aye.
Grattan?
Aye.
Morose?
Aye.
Fletchko? Aye. Schuster?
Aye.
Resolution 38, 2023 is passed.
Okay, I'm not sure what to do with this next resolution because I see blank spaces and I'm not sure how they get filled in.
That would be the mayor, we are waiting.
The mayor?
Do you have that information or no?
I'm going to turn to Andrew on this. Well, I suppose you should read that bid. We should get it on the floor for discussion before we do anything.
Okay, first I want to kind of explain, we
Bids,
received
yeah, bids, but we don't have the response time.
We received 3 bids for demolition of the fire damaged property on South Fairfield, the infamous fire damaged property. After discussion of how to handle payment for services when the city doesn't own the property, the committee agreed that the bid should be sent to the attorney for review. And then I guess this resolution is the result of that review. Do you want me to read?
Yeah, read that so we can get a motion, get it on the floor for discussion.
But how can I read it when there's blanks?
You're just going to have to leave that blank.
Just say blank.
That's to be determined.
Resolution 40-2023, approved demolition bid for 328 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue. Whereas the Finance Committee reviewed 3 bids for the demolition of the property located at 328 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue. And whereas the mayor and Mandy Rue / Asher Rosenberg reviewed the bids and recommend to accept the bid from blank. And now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau hereby awards the demolition bid for the property located at 328 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue to blank for an amount not to exceed blank. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 40-2023 if we can fill in the blanks.
I don't know if you second that kind of motion or not.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Motion by Evans, second by Grattan to approve the bid. Allied Excavating out of Horicon was the low bid out of the bids submitted. I gave them a description of what would be included or expected of them. Be tear down and remove all debris from the lot and basement, salvaging the basement, groom the lot, install plastic snow fence around the basement for security purposes. Deadline was extended to 9/30 of '23. Total for all services stated above was $12,100. Now, the city attorney will tell you that there's been escrow money from both insurance companies to the tune of $7,500 each, Andrew?
Correct.
So that's a total of $15,000. So just tearing the structure off the basement, leaving the basement, securing the basement as we had talked about at finance and what have you, with a orange snow fence. We'd be well within the dollar amount that the insurance company is willing to foot for each half of the duplex. So this would mean no capital outlay from the city, no capital outlay from the remaining owner. But the downside of this is he has yet to respond. I had communication with him as of last Friday. He said, well, these things look pretty good. I'll talk it over, wife, girlfriend, whatever she is. And we'll let you know. I said, well, it's imperative I have an answer by Monday so that I can get this on the agenda for Tuesday night's meeting. Well, since then, we haven't heard a word. I asked Andrew to reach out to him, and
I've reached out to him repeatedly, both to Ashton and also to her as well, and to Mandy, and I've left text messages, which I usually don't do from my personal cell phone on a city matter, but I tried to reach him. I didn't have an email contact. Multiple phone calls, probably 5 phone calls in the last couple of days, then phone calls last week. Last week I was on vacation. Reached out to him both by text and phone there. That's what led to the calls that you received call that you received on Friday, but it's been silent since. I do think it's important that you do have them sign agreeing to these bids because they also have an interest in this property. So my suggestion is that you would, this is the best bid, but conditioned upon getting the signed written approval of these other owners, Asher Rosenberg and Mandy Rue. And that's what I think you should do. But condition it on that. Because I do think it's better that you go there and then you don't have this whole thing blow up where they say, look, we didn't agree to this, or we wanted the basement removed, or we didn't want the basement removed. You need to know that direction from them. Now, I don't know why. Most of the time these people have been reasonably easy to get a hold of. Much easier than Devin, I guess how it's pronounced, Chatos. Much easier to reach than her.
now the other option we gave them was tear down or remove all debris from lot, including the basement, fill the basement with sand and groom lot, cap sewer lateral within 5 feet of the sidewalk. That deadline was October 14th, 2023. So those were the 2 options.
How much is the
How
one?
much was the second?
That was for $27,000. So now you're going to have a considerable capital outlay for both the city and the other gentleman. I guess I can see the city absorbing, if we can get our hands on that insurance money from both parties. The city has no capital outlay, just to take the structure off the top of the basement, leave the hole and secure the basement. I would like, I guess, this committee to authorize either or so that we don't lose any more time.
All 3 bids, did all 3 bids have both options
Yeah.
And were
And
they
this
able
is the best one.
for even removing the foundation?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
There
is the
wasn't a
best
whole
one.
lot of difference. They all wrote them a little different and what have you. They all went off of my recommendation or what I asked for in a bid. They all worded them that way, but they all looked at it a little different. One was at the low end for tearing off the structure and kind of at the high end for taking out the basement, and the other one was just the opposite way around. So
But this is the best of all.
this is the best of all.
What was the name of that contract?
Allied Excavating.
Do you want to reword that middle paragraph? Whereas the mayor and the 2 owners reviewed the bids and recommend approval of lowest bid, leave it like that. Lowest bid upon conditional use of owners? Is that where you want to fit it in?
Conditional acceptance.
A conditional acceptance of the owners.
They're conditioned upon written acceptance by the owners.
Yeah, of the lowest bid.
Right.
Got that, Dick?
That would
Conditional.
that would be for Kaylee if we could.
Kaylee's
Reword
taking
that.
Oh, my
minutes.
God.
I guess my concern is we've labored this along for so long. and I don't want to be getting into this during the winter months and stuff like that. I don't know why all of a sudden he's not responding, because as soon as I had Kaylee email the stuff out to him to review these bids within an hour, I had a phone call. He was calling me and he says, hey, he says, these numbers look pretty good. He says, where's the city on this? And I says, it's up to you. I says, if you want to stay within your insurance dollars, I says, removing the structure is the way to go. And I says, we supposedly have dibs on your co-owner or the owner of the other half, the duplex, of their insurance money. So I says, if there's insurance dollars there, the low bid to tear it off will be within those dollars. And he said, well, that sounds good. And I says, unless you want the whole basement dug out of there, I says, the city will cooperate with that, and that'll just be put as a lien on the property when such time the property is sold. It'll be another assessment to that property. Andrew's hours in this are being recorded. We're gonna hope to collect them from somebody someday.
Right.
You know.
Well, you do have a judgment against Evan Chados, but I don't know that it's a particularly collectible judgment.
So that's where we stand, pretty much in a nutshell. You know, so it's kind of a rock and a hard place, seeing how we've labored this along for so long, and we don't want it to go any further. But I'm not real comfortable about sending an excavator in there to tear it down if we don't have the blessing of the other party.
Right. And I'd like to get that in writing.
What were the price, what were the costs?
We're just tearing down the structure, leaving the basement. Low bid was $12,100.
Okay.
And for tearing down the structure, removing all the debris and the basement, it was $27,000. The city to provide the fill for the basement, which we have filled down in just a couple blocks down the way.
Do we have guaranteed to getting Devon Chateau's insurance money even though we can't contact her? I mean, is that something that?
You're not getting money from her.
No, from the
her
insurance. I'm saying even though we can't contact her, we still we'll be getting that insurance money?
It looks likely.
Okay.
Looks likely.
I just didn't know how that worked if you
Right.
have contacting her.
Yeah, I don't think you can plan on getting any money directly from her.
No, and that's not what I.
Right, but from the insurance, the remainder.
That's the only thing, yeah.
And if she's not anywhere to be had, this is going to turn into distressed property, because this gentleman's not going to be able to sell his half without her cooperating.
Well,
Like,
like we
how
talked
much
about,
easier to sell without a basement in it from someone's perspective, like having just flat land versus keeping a basement in. I'm sure that's probably why it's taking some time to respond, but what his options are.
we already discussed there's 2 years not paid, so 1 more year and it's.
Goes back to the county, if they move on it, they haven't been real quick on moving on properties that got problems. So,
So you want me to try and read this again?
go ahead.
All right. Resolution 40-2023, approved demolition bid for 228 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue. Whereas the Finance Committee reviewed 3 bids for the demolition of the property located at 328 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue, and whereas the mayor has reviewed the bids and recommend to accept the bid from Allied Excavating upon written consent from Mandy Rue/Asher Rosenberg, and now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau hereby awards the demolition bid for the property located at 328 and 330 South Fairfield Avenue to Allied Excavating for an amount not to exceed $12,100 for demolition of the structure, or $27,000 or $27,000 for raising the construction and the foundation, and the city will provide the backfill. Okay, you begin. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023.
I would like to add, reviewed by the mayor and the city attorney.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, again, stressing that it's signed by Mandy Rue and Asher Rosenberg, so written consent.
Yeah,
And he wrote
I
that.
said written consent.
Good.
Yep.
I will re-second.
Motion by Evans, second by Graddon, to accept the amended resolution. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Graddon.
Aye.
Foodie.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Fletchko. Schuster.
All right, I will be quiet for a while now.
Resolution 40, 2023 is passed. Moving on, personnel.
Okay. So we met, we had a joint personnel meeting with each other. And, the focus of the meeting was talking about wages and benefits. And I provided the group with some information about terminations and hirings from January 1, 2019 to August 15, 2023, so that we could see how many people have left and how many people have been onboarded for the city. Then I also provided information regarding some comparables that I gathered, and I did benefits and wages. And I want to thank Kaylee for the beautiful
Color coding?
yeah, color, I mean, I couldn't do this. Lovely. So the cities used for the benefits for Juneau, Lamira, Queenan, Lodi, Kiwani, Fox Lake. I also had Horicon for the benefits. They didn't get back to me regarding, for the wages, they did not get back to me on benefits. So we just reviewed how we compare with places that are fairly similar to our population. And in some ways we compare, our biggest difference was our employees pay 20% of the health care premiums, whereas the other ones are 10%, 12%, 13%. So that was probably the biggest outlier. Otherwise, vacation, fairly similar. Sick leave, fairly similar. I didn't drill down into real specifics because this is just, what I was able to do with my time here. Wages were much more of a struggle because cities are organized so differently. Most of the places had some kind of city administrator versus a clerk treasurer. They had combinations of DPW workers and utility workers because that's organized differently. So I think we found it was hard to compare. I wouldn't say that we're out of the ballpark, but hard to compare. The one place that we could compare was the police chief, and we clearly are not comparable on our police chief wage, so that's why there's a resolution regarding the increasing the police chief wage. We also talked about vacation. One of the things that we are challenged with is personnel right now. Very hard to get employees. And employees like to have time off. So we made a minor adjustment to our vacation so that once they accrue it, they can use it. So in the first 6 months, our policy is you get 1 day of vacation for every 2 months you work, up to 5 days, but you can't take that until, our original policy was you can't take that until you've been in the city 6 months. We've modified that to say, once you've earned it, you may take that day of vacation. Small modification, but we're trying to understand where we are in the situation where it's a struggle. It's a struggle to maintain and attract employees. We discussed raises, and we did not come to a specific recommendation. So we are waiting on some other information regarding healthcare premiums and other financial challenges. So there was no formal recommendation from personnel to finance about any specific raise. But we will revisit that at our next personnel meeting. So that's kind of, let's see, what else do we do? We did do the crossing guards too, so I have 2 resolutions.
And hiring. Additional any vacant and inactive positions, change in policy.
There's not a resolution on the, in our policy, it said that if we have a vacant or what was it again? I'm trying to read this.
Inactive.
Inactive. So we have some vacant positions. We've had a vacant position in the police department for a year. And you might read our policy as saying, well, now they have to come back to personnel to approve filling it. But that's not what the intent of that was. It was, we have some positions that just haven't been filled. They've been inactive and vacant. So we just made that minor change to say they are both inactive and vacant. So that there's no confusion, because there may be times when positions and departments are left open for months because there's no one to fill them. I just want to make it clear, you do not have to come back to personnel to get authorization to fill those type of positions. So that was also.
So do we just need to change the wording in that motion that was made at the end of that paragraph? Because it says, Foodie Morose to amend section to additionally, any vacant and inactive positions will need approval by the personnel committee. And full
Right,
council.
so if they're vacant and inactive,
They do need.
yes.
Okay.
Because we
Just
have a
wanted to
few
make sure that-
positions on our wage scale that are both vacant and inactive. Okay, I'll go to Resolution 41, 2023. Approve a wage increase for crossing guards. Whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committee recommends an increase in wages for crossing guards to $20 per hour. Whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees have reviewed and support the wage increase to $20 per hour for the crossing guard. And whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committees recommend that the wage increase be effective September 5th, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I just want to say we're having challenges getting crossing guards, so we're going to try to raise the rates so that we might get more candidates. So I will move for passage of Resolution 41, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion by Morose, second by Bushka. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Morose,
Aye.
Bushka. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Cootie.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Schuster.
Aye.
Resolution 41, 2023 is passed.
And as I mentioned earlier, we do have some comparisons for police chiefs in similarly populated villages and cities, so we did do an increase for our police chief. Resolution 42, 2023, approved wage increase for police chief, whereas the Public Safety and Personnel Committee recommend an increase in wages for the City of Juneau police chief, and whereas the Personnel Committee recommends an increase of $2 per hour at year 5 rate, and whereas the Personnel Committee recommends that this wage increase be effective January 1, 2024 without any cost of living increase for 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts this aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I move for passage of Resolution 42, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Morose, second by Foodie. Any further discussion on that? then Kay pretty well covered it. Roll call vote, please.
Merle,
Aye.
Foodie,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Groton,
Aye.
Muchka. Aye. Schuster.
Okay.
Resolution 42, 2023 is passed.
And probably just one other thing, we are also in negotiations with the union for our 2 patrol officers. Well, maybe we'll get 3 someday, for the patrol officers. So that's coming up to union negotiations.
Okay, moving on. Public safety.
Yeah, we had a meeting, first day was with the police chief, had his monthly report. And we also discussed, Clearview wanted a road closure for a car show up there on September 8th, from 3 to 8, Highway DF between North Main and County Service Road. And we okayed that. They were gonna have 1 lane open for emergency traffic, or they said, I guess I wasn't up there, I don't know how it went, if anybody was up there, but
I forgot all about it.
they said they're gonna have people there to get traffic in and out if there's some emergency or something, so.
It was great.
But
It worked out fine,
Okay,
and
a lot of people up there?
they had a really, well, Dick was there too. I mean, I was impressed with how many people were
Very
there.
nice event.
It was a very nice event. Nice weather, it was
Okay, good, it's the
well
first time they
attended.
had, so, yeah. So, good, glad everything went okay, we kinda okayed it, just took barricades up there, and they were gonna set them up and stuff and work.
Yeah, and then there was somebody that tended that barricade.
Yep, he said there should be somebody there if someone had to
Yeah.
get through or
Yeah,
try to direct traffic, so.
right.
Yep,
All went well.
he said it would, should go good, so, good, glad that went all right. And then, we had a discussion regarding the wage increase for crossing guards, we got okay, we sent that to personnel and finance. And then, also for the wage increase to the police chief, we sent that with our blessing on. And then we okayed, which we had last night, the 9/11 silent parade from 8 o'clock from the high school down to the public safety building. That went really well, so we've had that for a lot of years, so we okayed that. Dan from EMS handed out his report. We want all the EMS working with Horicon and stuff if they need help. Fire chief had his report. They had a little problem with paying Kurt to help the new chief, Eddie Weiss. So we get that straightened out. He was getting $1,000 more than he should have been, so we got that kind of straightened out. They're both okay with that, Eddie and Kurt. And then, emergency government report, they don't have too much to discuss on that. And we also talked about the duplex fire. We got to kind of straighten out also too, so. And then I had just one resolution on trick-or-treating. Resolution 43, 2023, set date and time for trick-or-treat. Whereas the Juneau Police Chief recommends that trick-or-treating be held Sunday, October 29, 2023, between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. in the city of Juneau. And whereas the fire department will be helping with street crossing, now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau the 12th day of September 2023. I move for passage of Resolution 43, 2023.
Motion by Schuster,
Second?
second by Foodie. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Schuster.
Aye.
Foodie.
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Groton,
Aye.
Merle,
Aye.
Muchka.
Aye.
Resolution 43, 2023 is passed. Anything else?
Oh, the only other thing, the mayor thanked all the city employees and utility for the National Night Out. It was held, pretty good turnout, I guess, for that also, so. And that's all I got.
Thank you, John. Moving on to Public Works. David.
Public Works, we did meet. Marty and Keith Weinheimer were present to discuss a ditch issue that, where the city ditch comes down and goes parallel to their property and then goes north. There was some plugging issues there. So the DPW went down and cleaned out the pile that was there. There's no retaining water at this time, but they're gonna follow the ditch the rest of the way out to the main ditch, to the, where it makes a corner and goes west past Bullseye. They're gonna make sure that that ditch is cleared out so that there's no retaining water. They may find a tree down, who knows. We reviewed and discussed an ordinance to tie in all sump pumps into the storm sewer on new home construction and street reconstruction. That way there, when you redo the street, that you can tie the houses in that have sump pumps in them. And they'll get rid of it rather than opposite. For example, on my street, the houses up on the hill we didn't get storm sewer, so mine runs down the hill to the guys that are swimming in it already to pump it back out into the storm sewer. So it would have been nice if we could have put mine in the top of the hill, but that's something you don't think of right away when you're doing that. Review and discuss changing the dumpster hours from 8 to 12 on Saturdays, or to 8 to 11. They've been keeping track of when people get there. 8 to 9:30 is very busy. 9:30 to 10 it starts slowing down. 10 to 11 you get a few people yet, but from 11 to noon for the last long period of time, when they're keeping record, nobody's showing up. They've already done it, so rather than have a person stand every other Saturday for nothing, so shorten it up.
There could be a slug-a-bed that really wants to get there.
Well, that's what we're hoping we're going to cause that problem.
Okay.
But the few times that I've taken things there, yeah, it's busy early.
Yeah.
So that was passed to change the hours from 8 to 11. We were discussing a solution for a damaged driveway at 642 East Oak Street. The damage was done while the street wasn't there, and it got overlooked. It was noticed that it was done by the homeowner. Anyhow, the the area has been repaired. The street was not disturbed, just the grass area was, so there was no action we needed to do on that. The city ditch near Bullseye, the DPW will be cleaning this out. The other thing we did is we discussed placing a regular part-time Department of Public Worker employee on the wage scale. Come to find out, we did not have an employee on the wage scale, so we had to take care of that. The posts in the old park, the first park shelter, the older one on the west side, all the posts have been repaired, replaced with new ones. They're on concrete now on top, so they should last a very long time. The guys did a good job pulling them out. They were able to lift them out with a threaded rod from the utility, screwed it into the post and pulled them out, so it worked real well. I have a resolution to read, Resolution 44-2023. Approve placing regular part-time DPW employee on the wage scale. Whereas the Finance and Public Works Committee have reviewed a request to place a regular part-time employee onto the city wage scale, and whereas the Finance and Public Works Committee recommended to placing the position of city custodian trash attendant on step 1 of the wage scale, and whereas the Finance and Public Works Committees recommend that this change be effective as of January 1, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I move for passage of Resolution 44, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion by Grattan, second by Muchka. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bratton,
Aye.
Muchka,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Foodie,
Aye.
Moroz,
Aye.
Schuster.
Resolution 44, 2023 is passed. Anything else, Dave?
Nope.
Cable TV.
Well, our August 10th meeting was canceled, but we did meet last night. And we had a lot of very good discussion about equipment and the future of cable TV and options of remote video, you know, being able to put cameras up to remotely video meetings. And we will have a recommendation to finance. We will forward to you. And I think that's all I'm going to cover for now.
Questions?
Just want to say that we brainstormed and came up with some very good options. Thank you, David, for putting some information together. So it should alleviate, you know, getting all the meetings recorded and the future of cable TV.
Any questions for Jane? If none, moving on. CDA, we didn't have a meeting. Rep committee.
Well, I was on the phone, Mayor, you were there, but I can go ahead. Okay, so we did meet, and we did talk about having key fobs and, you know, or do we keep the code that opens up those doors? So right now, we're just going to keep the box and we're going to change the code periodically, because I think there's been times when the same code has been used probably for years. Right? So just for security purposes, we're going to, you know, change that code periodically so we know that the right people have been authorized to use that door code to get in. And there still seems to be some confusion about who schedules the local organizations that are eligible for their free meetings. So that was going to be referred to Chance, and he can make the decision, or maybe they talk to you, Dick, I don't know. Then, yeah, I'm not sure.
Why?
Everything falls back to you.
Yeah, you're the man. So the next thing, Jacob thought it might be good to institute like an open gym night, where, you know, you can drop in. And so he's going to work on that, how to organize that. And we already talked about this, where the committee wanted to install security cameras in the lobby and in the gym. And there may be, you know, money still left in our current rec department to do some of that. But I know that there's these divergent opinions, and we have to figure out how to deal with that. And otherwise, yeah, 55 people signed up for soccer. And we got flag football going. And I think that's about it. Mayor, do you have anything else to add?
It's pretty much covered it all. A lot of time spent on those cameras.
Yeah, a lot of time spent on cameras. It's kind of exhausting.
Any questions? Okay. Okay, moving on to Utility Commission.
Okay, we had a meeting last Wednesday. Sherry Scott from MSA, she's the project manager for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. She gave an update on what's going on out there. The oxidation ditch has been constructed and now is being water tested. And the foundations for the storage garage and the chemical building are being formed and poured. Final Final completion of this project is scheduled for July 1st, 2025, so you'll probably hear about it from me every month until then. The commission also approved change orders on the project that resulted in a cost reduction of $78,225. And also the commission reviewed the preliminary budget for the utility. Nothing really too much to report there because it is preliminary. The commission approved the resignation of Shane Donegan, who was a lineman in the electrical department. And the commission approved raising the wages for the wastewater treatment plant employees to better match other utilities in the area. And the changes will go into effect at the beginning of 2024. And then, a piece of good news, I guess, the commission approved reinstating Nick Goldman as the electrical superintendent. He decided to come back. So I have a resolution because the Common Council has to approve his reinstatement. Resolution 45-2023, approved to reinstate Nick Goldman, electric superintendent. Whereas the Utility Commission recommends reinstating Nick Goldman as electric superintendent at a rate of $51 per hour, 10-year level on the wage gauge, effective September 18th, 2023. And whereas the Utility Commission recommends that a background check, physical, and drug screen be waived, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 12th day of September 2023. I would move for passage of Resolution 45-2023.
Motion by Evans,
I'll second.
second by Mushka. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to clarify, is he coming back with the benefits that he had, like at whatever year he was? I mean, it doesn't say anything.
Unchanged.
10 year,
Yeah, it's a 10-year.
Oh,
the 10-year level.
it was a 10-year level on the wage scale, so effective, he gets,
He didn't lose anything for the month.
he didn't lose any sick leave or vacation. I'm just making sure that is, we're all on the same page.
Well, sick leave would start over though, wasn't it, as he was paid out for all the sick leave?
No, that didn't happen.
Okay, so
We
he got back
avoided that.
before his sick leave was paid out, so he still has his sick leave.
Okay, I wasn't
Okay.
aware of that, okay.
No, that's why I just thought I needed some, want to make sure that that's clear.
This happened so soon, that process hadn't
Okay.
happened
We really didn't have a choice. We were in a position where we would have had only an apprentice lineman who hasn't even started school yet, remaining in our electric department with nobody to oversee him. So with the outgoing lineman and Nick wanting to come back, we didn't really have much of a point of negotiation. We were pretty well forced to live up to what he requested. So he was an asset to our department, and he'll continue to be an asset to our electric departments. All I can really say at this time. Right?
Yeah.
It's not how you like to do business, but sometimes you're forced to do business like that. So. No further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Fletchka. Aye. Tootie.
Aye.
Groton.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Schuster.
Aye.
Resolution 45-2023 is passed. Any old business tonight?
I was just wondering, the wage increases were approved for the utility employees. What, was it a percentage or?
For the wastewater treatment employees. It was approved for certain classifications, but not for the superintendent. He didn't want one, I guess. But I think they were percentage, weren't they?
Right. And that was up to finance for the percentages.
And they
As to-
restructured the positions too.
Right, as to what the wage scale will be. when
This
it's
all
passed.
happened in the utility personnel committee, which
So was there a recommended percentage increase?
It was done the same way as what Kaylee had presented to Kay. Alex did a pretty good breakdown of all the other communities. And had similar styles of, waste treatment isn't the same in every community. You just don't go to every town and think they treat waste differently. They have different calibers of waste treatment than they have. Again, they have people that are strictly lab techs or people that overlap out in the collection system and water system like our people do.
Did you
So
also increase electric?
No.
No? Okay, so was there a percentage that was recommended to finance then?
I don't think it's,
no, this doesn't go to finance.
Okay, but what was the
Utility.
wage, what was the looking for that?
The lead wastewater treatment plant operator increased 2.53%. The advanced wastewater treatment operator, which is the two employees that we have out there,
the tenured ones.
the tenured ones, yes, raised 3.54%. And then certified wastewater treatment plant operator, we don't have. That raise was 4.66%. And we have a position called the wastewater treatment plant operator. And that raise was substantial, it was 8.85%.
That was the entry level for somebody coming in.
That they just hired.
Yeah, they just pursued, or just starting to pursue the field. Our starting rate wage was quite a bit less than the other communities. It was all based upon comparisons.
well, but according to Bart, they were comparing Beaver Dam, West Bend.
Again, those are the same type of treatment plants.
Yeah.
It's not so much population, it doesn't make much difference. The volume coming into the plant really doesn't change, or doesn't change the skills of the guy treating sewage. Just bigger, more gallonage coming in, but the treatment requirements are all require the same skills, whether it be a big city versus a little city, as long as it's the same type of treatment plant. Now you jump to Houston'sburg, they're using the lagoon system. That's a whole different concept of sewage treatment.
But they're all required to get certifications.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it is an issue between city and utility.
It's tough to compare because our wastewater treatment plant operators also take care of the waterworks as well. A lot of treatment plant, in a lot of cities, if you're a treatment plant operator, you stay out in the plant. You don't even leave the plant or get out and open up valves or take care of wells or anything like that. So it is a tough comparison, but he tried to come up with comparables, even though the cities were bigger, the same kind of requirements for their crews.
We could do, I mean, I'm sure cities have the snowplow driver and
You have to have a
the
CDL.
DPW kind of worker like we do. I didn't use those. I just used the smaller ones. I have to investigate because, you know, we could compare them because they take our staff. I think we are in a situation where there's no one to fill these vacancies.
Well, DPW would generally don't have a problem. It always gets filled pretty easily.
Well, it isn't.
I thought, Kate, you know, you did an outstanding job of getting all that information, and I appreciate it, because I asked for it last year, and you did it.
I did it.
Great. But I also, when, you know, looking through it, I thought that we were in the ballpark with a lot of communities, and with our wages.
Right. It's just that when you sit as a DPW worker or a city worker or a librarian, whatever. And then, you know, the utility workers get compared to bigger cities, which I did not do because I didn't believe those were comparables. That creates friction. It's like, why, you know, a snowplow driver got to have some skills, otherwise we're going to lose all the mailboxes. So would it not be fair to say to the city of Beaver Dam, the city of West Bend, those are the two that were mentioned, the people on your DPW crew that do this work, what do they get paid?
And the thing is, DPW backs up so many other departments. They're always helping out other departments, and they have to have certifications too to run the equipment they run.
So I'm just saying that there is that friction. There's always that feeling that like they're the slower brother. They don't get a fair shake. They don't get compared to the same thing. And I understand that there's certification that has to be done, but there's also training and mechanical skills, and the city hall has to, you know all kinds of, you know, accounting and bookkeeping and getting paychecks cut. I mean, there's a whole, the librarian, she has to know how to satisfy everybody in the entire community. So there's that friction, and I don't know how to resolve it, but I just want to let you know that your other departments feel it. And it's hard to get any kind of teamwork kind of sense if it just gets worse and worse. And if they feel like they just don't get the respect that they think they should have for keeping all the departments running, because it takes everybody to keep the city running.
And DPW is that department that works with all of them, I believe.
So that's just my soapbox for tonight.
And going on that also, okay, it also extends to City Hall. I mean, City Hall, when you go through that Green Bay Institute, you get certifications. And election laws are constantly changing.
Yeah, election laws.
I just think there's so much into the other city jobs that is not taken into account.
Right,
And
so we just want all those things to be appreciated, and I guess that's it.
Well, the wastewater, you need to look at a larger city because of the types of heavy industrial we have in our small community. They might not have in other small communities that put all those solids into our wastewater treatment facility.
We've got a unique situation that we've got a major industry with a pre-treatment plant ahead of our plant, so that has some challenges too.
You can't find that in every small community. You know, for comparison, we have to go to something larger like West Bend or Beaver Dam to have some comparable similar to that.
Any other old business?
I agree with the rest, I just wanted to explain.
Yeah, that there's, I understand that there's a difference, but I just want to make sure everybody's understanding where the rest of your city staff is at. And that doesn't make them want to stay.
Any other old business? Any new business? Actually, we have approved provincial licenses for Bethany Ballas. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Schuster,
Second.
second by Grattan. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved regular bartender's license for 2023 expires June 30th, 2024. Bethany Ballas. Is there a motion to that effect?
So,
Motion by Evans. Second?
Second.
Second by Morose. Any further discussion? Seeing that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any other business tonight? Seeing none.
motion to adjourn.
Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.